Alright, let's get over to an unboxing and a DIY overview for an E36 window regulator. You're going to see that I have two clips spliced together because I did them at two different times. The story goes, I bought an Amazon special window regulator because it was cheap and I needed it within the next day. However, the quality of that was a little bit suspect, and now that it broke, I contacted URO and they sent me this kit from them. So the parts you're going to need are two of these sliding pivots. The URO ones mimic the OEM ones very, very well. So let's just kind of do a quick overview on these guys. Part number is right here again. Doesn't matter for which windows, they're all the same, and you need two for each window regulator. Anyways, these mimic the OEM ones perfectly because the OEM ones have these exact, I guess, molds, and they have a little bit of gap between them where you can compress. So as this as the slider pivots a little bit, there is a little bit of compression. If you see in the later video, the ones I have from Amazon are just a solid block of plastic. And I think once you have the stress of the window motor trying to move the window and through the slides, it jams up just a little bit and it causes a little bit of stress, whereas this compression would take it up and the Amazon ones would not. So that is a big benefit, and I think that is part of my failure. But anyways, there's not much to it. You have these, make sure you clean them. You clean your slides real well, grease this, and grease the slides up real well, and then you are good to go. Next up is the window regulator part. This one is the passenger front for a sedan. And you can go on URO's website to kind of figure out which exact part number you need. And here is the regulator itself. On first appearance, the metal gauge isn't anything different, but the two things I noticed that were different would be the arms. I'm guessing these are packaged up a little bit better, or they're QC'd a little bit better, and they're less tweaked than the Amazon ones that I took out. And I knew the Amazon ones were possibly tweaked because when I took out the OEM one and I compared them, the arms looked the same. However, the OEM ones were always jamming up and popping out. So that was an issue. And I think this one, at least the geometry is slightly better. The other part I realized is right here. This center part is just riveted in, and the Amazon one had a lot of play when I was messing around with it. This one, very little play comparably, and it makes me feel a little bit more secure that there's less movement going on, or less slack going on, so what the motion that the regulator is supposed to do is going to stay true. Otherwise, there's not much to it. You do also get the window motor bushings, so you get a plastic one and a metal one depending on your model. I think the later ones use the plastic ones, which is what I use, and that just goes right here. Besides that, there's not much to it, so we're just gonna forward over to the DIY overview. Alright, the video quality might be bad because I'm facing directly the sun, but I'm in my apartment parking lot doing a window regulator on my E36 Sedan. That is because one of the old sliders broke and then it bent one of these arms, and then when I tried to rebend them, I just couldn't get the window to work right anymore. So we're going with a new window regulator. Don't really care what you buy, whether it's URO, VDO, or something from Amazon. It's all gonna work. They're all pretty much the same. Anyways, in my kit, it came with brand new rivets. However, I'm not going to use rivets because it's a pain in the butt having to drill out rivets. Therefore, I bought a bunch of M6 screws to bolt them back in. Let's see what else. You have to transfer this bushing and this speed nut over from the old regulator. You also got to transfer the motor over. And when you do this, you have to replace a bushing, which is right there, that holds the motor right there. You can see it. On this side, it is now a white bushing instead of the original black bushing. To drill them out, it's kind of a pain in the butt. I used a 1/4 inch and then a 3/8 inch drill bit to get the 4 of them out, which is 1, 2, 3, and 4. This one right here is a 10mm nut, which is your guide arm, which is what you adjust to get the window to sit straight or roll up straight and roll down straight. Otherwise, you got to take off a door panel, which is also pretty simple. It's 2 Torx bolts right around here. Take your door handle trim off, unscrew the whatever you call it, thing here, and then you just pop it off all the clips. As you can see, one of them left over, so I got to re-glue that little post on the door panel on. Then you got to peel off the vapor barrier carefully so you don't rip the vapor barrier, and you have all the access you need in the world. A good tip is, I have this thing taped up right now, but once I get to reinstalling, these window guides, which you can see up there, so those white ones are going to get replaced with the new ones in the bag, and then I'm also going to scrape out all the dried up grease and put in new grease so these things slide smoothly, because most likely this white plastic piece got brittle over time, and then it got jammed up in these slides, and then it caused the arm to pop off and then bend the arm. Not an exact science. It's not really difficult. The most time consuming part is going to be drilling out these rivets right here. Otherwise, there you have it. A quick 3-minute guide on how to do the window regulator. I'll show you once everything is back together, a good visual of how everything goes together. Alright, so the second half with everything reinstalled. Again, disassembly is very similar to reassembly, so this is what you're going to have to look at. 4 rivets, 1, 2, 3, and 4. This one gets hidden by a door handle, so you just got to take it off, and then this pull lever just gets reattached when everything's good and done. As you can see here, these are the new clips I have, and you can see that I greased them up with this red grease. As you can see, these move very freely compared to what I had before. So if we take a look at the old ones, they were just basically disintegrating. This one was the one further back on the car. As you can see, a piece broke off, and then this is the one on the front, and as you can see, the top part broke off, which is what caused the ball head, that guy over there, to pop off. And then as I wasn't sure what was going on, I just kind of pushed it up a little bit more, and it just bent everything. Again, like I said, I tried to rebend it back, but stuff was still just trying to force itself to pop off, mostly because those sliders are just so old and gunked up. But anyway, you have that. Make sure when you're putting everything on, there's a good chance your window is going to come off track, so just make sure this is on right here properly, and then this guide on the inside is proper. And I do that because right now I'm pushing on it with my finger and it's not hitting the outer door skin. If it is not properly on track, you'll hit it and you'll hear the window hit the metal door skin on the outside. So the way I fix that is just by rolling it up and down a bunch of times, and eventually the front of the window pops back into its track, and then it's smooth again. Now the final step is to basically realign these ball studs into these things, and what I'm doing is gluing or taping the window up just a little bit so I have as much room to work on this as possible. And I'm just gonna turn on the car, or put the key into position 1, and roll up the window until these things align with these things. Then there's one last step, which is this guy right here. If you see, as I move this one also, this arm also moves, and that kind of fixes the alignment of this, so that when you're further up, the window seals perfectly against the door and isn't tilted too far forward or too far backwards. There is a good tip. I think a good tip would be to mark the other one, the old one, and then just try to align the new one around so like mine kind of look like this. So I'm just gonna be aligning it it's really hard to do it on camera, but yeah, I'm gonna be aligning it just around there and hoping for the best. And there you have it, a DIY parking lot video.